I'm making this film to alert you to a serious threat to our liberty, our basic freedoms, and the safety of our democracy in Britain. In the last week or so, the government has announced the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill. It's a quite extraordinary piece of legislation that will tear up traditions that have governed our society for centuries. One of the most obvious ones that we've seen this week is the way that the police have been able to break up a vigil held in honour of a young woman who was tragically killed. But that's as nothing compared to the powers that Priti Patel and Boris Johnson are taking upon themselves in this legislation. They're going to try to stop you protesting at all. The legislation puts in place powers for the police to break up any demonstration or protest if it inconveniences even one other person or one place of business. And in particular, they are going to great lengths to stop you protesting anywhere near Parliament. In other words, to keep protest away from MPs, the very audience at whom the most effective protests are directed. But the bill doesn't just stop at peaceful protest. The bill massively expands police powers in a whole range of areas, including intrusive access to your mobile phone, to computers, and to other devices that may be seized in a police operation. And it also brings in a whole raft of increased use of prison sentences for a range of crimes which have never been shown to be affected in the slightest by the use of prison. So if you care about your country and if you care about our society, don't just let this new bill go through unchallenged. Don't buy the rhetoric from Priti Patel and Boris Johnson that somehow this is about getting tough on criminals and cracking down on crime. It really isn't. What it's about is getting power for central government, power for the police. Police officers do a great job, but police officers don't need any more powers. They have sufficient powers to control public order where it gets out of control. They have sufficient powers to prosecute people who break the law, who attack police officers, who attack war memorials, and a whole range of other things. We don't need more laws and longer sentences to deal with these things. So just read the bill. You can find it online on the government website. It's quite frightening, the language that's used. Cracking down, getting tough. Priti Patel at one point uses the word thugs to describe members of the public who commit certain kinds of crimes, and particularly young people. It's just not what we need in our society at this point in time. When we have had so many of our rights taken away from us over the last 12 months at the stroke of a minister's pen, this piece of legislation looks to use the excuse of COVID and the powers, the emergency powers of COVID, to make them permanent and to take away basic rights to assemble, protest, and live your life as a free British citizen. Whatever you do, don't let this go through without protest. Contact your MP, make your views known online, and tell this government we're British. And in Britain, we are free to do what we wish within the law. And changing the law to take away the basic freedom to assemble and protest is one of the most disgraceful developments of recent times. And believe it or not, it won't just be the sort of people that you might not like who are affected by this law. The next group of people will be you and your children who may have something that they wish to make their views known about, and they won't be allowed to. Because trust me, once a government takes power and freedom away from the people, it won't give it back.